First of all, the Christian life is external and continual sacrifice to the glory of God. Look at the second half of verse 1. Present your bodies as a living, don't miss that, living sacrifice. The word sacrifice in the Greek is, you could more literally just translate it killing. But it's a word that was used in the Greek translation of the Old Testament, and he's talking about the sacrificial system in the New Testament, so it's translated sacrifice. But it's meant to be like, what? A living killing. Let your life be a living killing. Present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which sacrifices needed to be in the Old Testament, which is your spiritual worship. That word spiritual, in the Greek, it's where we get the word logical. Spiritual is maybe not the best translation into the English. He's saying it's the only rational, logical response to the mercies of God. God has been merciful to you in Christ. Therefore, your logical, rational worship to God is to offer your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. Laying your life down for the good of other people. And obviously he doesn't mean like, all right, every one of you go out right today and physically die. That's why he says living sacrifice. As one commentator said, the whole point is that it would be perpetual. We're alive, but sacrificing ourselves for the good of other people and the glory of God. And he said, and the problem is that a living sacrifice keeps crawling off the altar. So we got to get back on the altar. And then we crawl off and we got to get back on the altar. The point is supposed to be vivid, but Paul's not pulling any punches about what the big picture of the Christian life is. External and continual self-sacrifice for God's glory. Do you view your life like that? You wake up in the morning and think something along the lines of today. The goal of today, the point of today, is to sacrifice myself for the good of others and the glory of God. I am to be a living sacrifice. This is the only logical response to the gospel. Jesus has laid down his life for me, therefore I will lay down my life for him and others for their good. That is the point of what he's getting at. It's really kind of the same thing, it sounds crazy. It sounds like, wow, that's extreme. It's the same thing that Jesus said in Luke 9. He said to all, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. You want to save your life? You're going to lose it. But if you lose your life for my sake and for the gospel's, you'll save it. Paul telling us that the big picture of the Christian life is a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, and that's our only rational, logical worship. It's the same thing Jesus says, hey, you got to die daily. David Platt in his book Radical points out, well, something that we maybe miss because those of us who grew up in the Bible Belt, we have probably heard, take up your cross and follow me. We've heard that a lot, and it can become so familiar, we miss how sharp and drastic and really shocking that should be to us. That's like someone saying, take up your electric chair and follow me. Take up your lethal injection and follow me. Hang yourself and follow me. It's meant to be. What? We are to be a living sacrifice. We're to take up our cross daily. Dying to what? Dying to our selfishness. Dying to the things that our flesh still wants to do that are contrary to what God says to do, what His Word, what His will is. We die to ourself. We die to our selfishness. We die to basically having any say over what we should think and what we should do. We don't get any say anymore. Jesus gets the say.